Okay, what I'd like you to do is bring your fingers around the egg like this. And I'm just going to explain that in a little more detail. Instead of pulling the fingers in towards the egg, I'm actually going to be moving from the palm. Just put your fingers in my finger in my palm like that. Notice how I'm moving the palm around your finger. So I start by doing that, and then the fingers come in and make contact with the egg. So let's try that first part. Just put your palm up and move right around my finger. Yeah. So you're going to start like that, and then the fingers come. Do you notice how that time the fingers came in from the end there? Mm-hmm. So instead of that, you start with the palm and then keep your fingers long and come right down and make contact. That's great. Good. So keep the contact very light and very alert. Mm-hmm. We don't want it to be clamping down tight, but we also don't want it to be kind of loosey-goosey. So if you think about actually holding something that's breakable but fragile, that's a good way to do it. So like an actual egg. Good. And what I'm going to do is move this around, and your job is to keep the contact just the same. Okay, that's good. Good. So right there, do you feel there's a little pressure pushing down? It's a little heavier feeling. So what would you need to do to keep the contact light? So some support needs to come through the system. Notice how you're dropping your head down? Yeah. Okay. See if something else can happen with your head and neck as we go up. Yes, beautiful. I'll just stand this way a little bit. So the alignment through your head and neck and your shoulder all changed. Actually, your arm doesn't just go to this place here, but there's a whole line of individual muscles that go all the way up to the back of the skull. We can really think there's just one muscle that goes all the way back up. And imagine if your head's out here, and then you try to bring your arm up. Those muscles aren't in alignment, but there's a place where they just go exactly where they need to be. The nice thing about the way the body works is it knows how to work if we don't get in the way. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then your arm is very buoyant all the way up here. Now it feels to me almost like there's water under a boat just carrying it up. And the nice thing from what just happened, is you have a choice. As we go down, you could return to a place that's kind of dropped forward, and then your arm becomes heavy again. And then going back up, we have to reconnect things every time we go up there. On the other hand, if you feel that connection that goes all the way back there, and you feel that support coming up through your back, you could choose to maintain it. You could choose to maintain the feeling of that connection all the way through. So now we're just returning to a place we're still in contact with. Beautiful. And even down here, your arm is much more buoyant. It's floating much more clearly. There's another thing that happened at the same time that your head and neck realigned and your head floated up a bit, is that your awareness shifted. Before, your awareness was a bit down here. And something that happens a lot is people think somewhere in space. The classic sculpture of the thinker has the thinker looking down here. And as we were doing this, you were thinking about what we were doing down in the space, and that was actually dragging you down. But a nice shift happened when we went up here. Your awareness of the space that your arm is in came into play. Your back and neck all are supporting you moving up there, and your awareness of your back and neck also come into play. So the shift in your awareness being in the space above you will also help keep this connection engaged. And the nice thing is awareness of both those things can be triggers that will turn the system on. Because there really was trigger is a good word because it was really a shift. Your arm went from being heavy to light in an instant. So the one thing you can think about when your arm is just at your side is you can feel, okay, this isn't just something dropped and heavy pulling my shoulder and neck down, but instead there's a continuous line that connects all the way up to the back of your skull. And just by thinking that, especially remembering the feeling of that, it just turns the system on. Once again, it's a trigger. But at the same time, if you realize your thoughts are pulling you down here, or just habit is pulling you down in an area where you're not aware of the space above you, then you can choose to, oh, what's up above me here? The trees and the leaves. And then the arm will just float up there. It brings you into that space again.